Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Money and Mindset with Dr. Stephanie Ardrey and Dr. Thyonne Gordon, Dr. Money and Story Genius. Hey, beautiful Thyonne, how are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing just lovely after our wonderful little holiday. How's it going with you?
I'm good. Believe it or not, guess what? I got some homework done on time yesterday.
Ooh, you're doing good. That's fantastic. Homework was done. I can't believe you even bothered to do it since it was a holiday.
No, one of my professors sent me an email, so I said, of course, every day I'm working on catching up. So
Yeah, sometimes we need a little push, right? Just a
yes,
little push,
exactly,
especially
exactly.
from an authority figure, a
You
professor.
know, professors like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, yep. Well, good. I'm glad you had and you had a good holiday weekend, Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, we did. We ended up going and visiting friend Anna for Thanksgiving. Sterling
Wow.
fried the turkey, so we had a fried turkey and our meal at home as
With the
well.
fried turkey, you know I've been dying for fried turkey.
Yeah, he came out pretty good. Yeah, he did a good job. So I was cutting it up yesterday so we could freeze some of it, and then I went back over to Anna's on Saturday to catch a little bit of the Tyson fight.
Oh, cool, cool. Yeah, I heard the fight was really interesting. A draw?
Interesting is a very good word. Very
Yeah.
good word. Interesting. Yes. Yes, it is.
Was this just a publicity stunt to, I don't know, raise some money or something? I don't know.
I guess it's this idea that some of these retired boxers, still could obviously use some exposure. Some of them, there's interest in fans. So I think it was just meant to be another path to include entertainment and to create some opportunities for some of the retired boxers that we probably haven't seen in a while. So
Yeah,
overall, the entertainment value was good. So I think, people will support
that's
the idea
good.
of this model. Yeah.
They said they still had their punches, and I saw some
Yeah.
pictures. Tyson looked good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Folks are
that's
talking
fantastic.
about, being up in the in age.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because last week when we talked with Dr. Oliver, we talked all about keeping yourself physically fit, keeping your mind together, keeping your spirit together, and all that. And when you think about somebody like Mike Tyson and the other fighter, I don't remember his name. Do you know what was his name? The
Uh,
other
uh Joe Lion something. I don't know, I
fighter.
forgot.
So
Forgot.
when you think about the two of them up in age, getting back in a boxing ring, which is a very athletic type of requires a lot of athleticism for a sport like that, you really do have to keep yourself, your mind sharp, your body, everything. I don't know how sharp your mind is to get back in a ring at that age, but but I think to have the spirit and the will to do it, that in itself requires a positive mindset and to know that you're taking care of yourself, or at least you're getting yourself tuned up. It's funny as we talk about that. I want to thank Dr. Oliver for coming on and giving us all the pointers and tips that he gave us, and kind of go a little deeper into that in terms of just taking care of ourselves and how we actually we got a little cut short on how we heal our bodies. And over the weekend, because it was, that Thanksgiving Netflix binge type of weekend, I had an opportunity to watch this series called Heal. It's not a series, it was just a documentary called Heal, Heal. If you get a chance on Netflix, watch it. Deepak Chopra is in it, Michael Beckwith, um, Marianne Williamson, and they're talking about the power to heal your body being scientifically, and they have doctors and scientists telling you why this is scientifically that you can heal yourself with your mindset. And they talk about the placebo effect, how people are given pills for scientific studies and research. One that is supposed to be a cure, the other that is a placebo. They show that a high percentage of the placebo patients that believe they got the real pill heal, just like the ones who got the real healing medicine. And so they talk about that power of belief and having something to believe in. A couple of women and a gentleman share their stories of being cured of cancer and other illnesses, which was just incredible when they go through it. One woman really in the beginning did not want to give up, but people had told her, look, you got to face reality. You got to face reality. So she didn't want to give up because she was afraid to die. And so her journey along the way was to get a mindset where she wasn't afraid to die and to get rid of the fear. And so she began to go and see people about moving some of her childhood beliefs. Remember, we talked about that, I think, the second week of the show, these childhood beliefs that start to block us and keep our energy from moving forward. So she was moving these childhood beliefs that she had around death and this fear of death so that she could clear her path. But as she worked with this, I won't say it was a medium, but worked with a psychologist. I think she was working with. The psychologist was saying, so you're ready to die? And she says, no, I don't want to die. But now she wasn't afraid of it anymore. And so she began to work on just healing her body still. And the reason that she thought that everybody thought for sure you must really gonna die, because she was already eating healthy. She was a plant-based eater. She didn't all the things that people say, change the way you eat, change this, change that. She's like, well, surely, I'm doing everything right. So it must really be a final diagnosis because I can't change anything else. The only thing she could change was her mindset. And she took the fear out. And when she went back, they were like, oh, it looks like your cancer is in remission, but we're going to go through with the chemo. So she went on. She was afraid of having chemo, but she let go of that fear. Like, instead of saying chemo was this poison that was going to kill her body, she was like, this is the healing force that I need to invigorate my body and to make it go strong. She had one round of chemo. The doctors were like, you're good. It's gone. The cancer's gone. The next year she went back because they have to, you repeatedly go back. Gone, gone, gone. And so she talks about how that power of letting go of fear, clearing the mind, again, just clearing her mind, the meditation she did and all that. Now, through the entire documentary, I was a little saddened because I didn't see people of color. And I think it's because we are so in the struggle so often that it's difficult for us to take time to meditate, to clear the clutter, to make space for ourselves, to do a puzzle like I've been doing all weekend, and to clear my mind. And we really have to do that. We really got to get our mindsets together. We got to take care of our minds, because that's the key to being able to take care of our bodies. And I just wanted to talk a little bit today about this whole healing process and how we're all going through a healing phase. It's appropriate that it's this Thanksgiving season because it's that gratitude that you talk about and how gratitude plays a part in the healing as well. And so I wanted to sit on that a little bit more today. I know we're going to have a special guest tomorrow, and the rest of the week we'll go into talking about other things, but share a little bit about, you have some childhood stories of clearing blockages and making way for healing. So share a little about that.
Wow. It's interesting because when we think about Thanksgiving and these holidays, oftentimes it reminds me of just fun times with family, right? And so when I moved away from being right with my immediate family, it just took a lot of courage to be willing to spread my wings and wanting to take on growth. But it meant that if I wanted to do certain family related things, I would have to take on the responsibility to go back and travel back. Over the years, we got some distance in some of those relationships. But I remember as a young person having some challenge with my paternal grandmother, my father's mother. I don't know what it was, but for some reason, she was just pretty cold as it related to me. Some of our family, they say, we had colorism issues, and I was a little more chocolate than my half sister. So maybe it was, the color issue. We don't know, but it was a different relationship. But as a young person, I respected my elders so much. So I wanted so bad to have this relationship. And it didn't, no matter what I did, it didn't seem like there was just any desire for that relationship. So one day I realized that I was emotionally stuck. And I had been exposed to a lot of death in our family early on. Just we were big family, so just death was something that I was familiar with. So I remember asking myself on one particular following a visit of my grandmother, what if I never tried to reach out to her anymore? What if the next time I saw her, she was in her casket? How would that make me feel? So I literally did a mental exercise of taking myself to her funeral and walking past her casket and looking at her. And when I realized that I had no emotions, meaning like I didn't say, oh, I should have done this, or oh, like I was complete. I had done everything that I possibly could. Then I released her. And at that time, I was in my early 20s. And I didn't see her again until I was looking at her in her casket. By that time, Sterling, it was about, 12, maybe 12 to 13 years later was the next time that I saw her. And sure enough, I went to her funeral. I had no emotions. It was just finishing off what had already done. She basically had been dead to me. And I was just there for my dad. And so it was a tough thing, but it created a clearing for me so that I could go on and be healthy and release that. Dr. Oliver mentioned that recently too, that sometimes even with people that he's trying to heal, they have to have a mock conversation with someone who is passed because that relationship was not completed before the passing of that other person. And it's manifesting as physical illness and pain in people's bodies. People have backaches because of something that some family member said to them that they never were able to clear out before that person passed on. And so I think that I would only equate it to being, kind of my listening to God early on, that by just understanding that some relationships you had to clear, you had to love people from a distance, and you had to prevent yourself from being hurt in relationships. And even if you didn't understand it, I learned later this saying that hurt people hurt people. So
Mhm.
sometimes, they're not even aware that they're hurting you because they're so hurt. And so you kind of have to be able to pull yourself back out of a situation that's not healthy for you.
Absolutely. And that saying I use all the time, hurt people hurt people. And it's true. When you're hurting, you're hurting so much, I don't even think people realize that they are lashing out and hurting other people when they hurt. That a lot of those things that occur early in life are the things that are blockages that are in us now. And those are the things that we need to learn how to clear. When we talked about being cagey and clearing the clutter, you can go through every phase of your mind, your body, your spirit with the KG acronym. Clearing the clutter from the mind, from the subconscious, from any kind of pain or hurt maybe that you had from the past that somebody else did. Doing exercises like what Dr. Money did is a wonderful way to do it. I have an exercise that I normally do at the beginning of the year to release people from debt, because when you're holding on to what other people, maybe, you lend somebody $20 and now you're mad at them, or maybe they're ducking you because this happened or that happened. So I do an exercise where I clear, so that not just so that I can clear them, but so I can clear me. So they don't know I'm doing the exercise, but I'm doing the exercise to clear me so I can let it go and I can move forward and have more abundance coming into my life. Because as long as we're trying to hold on, like I used to tell my daughter, you can hold that fist tight because I just gave you a quarter. But guess what? You'll never know what else might come in if you can open up. So I do the exercise of either going to the beach and washing things away. I put people's name and whatever the debt is, or whatever the wrong is that I feel they've done for me, or whatever it is, I put it on pages and I go do a ceremony at the beach. Or if it's too cold, I go around my fireplace, because water, fire, air, oh, the elements are amazing to use for healing, for helping you to meditate, to grow. And so I'll use my fireplace, or I use the ocean and I write down these, what I feel are wrongs, and get embodied with writing down whatever it is. It's not just like, oh yeah, and this person did this. No, I get embodied with it, like, oh, I can't believe. I write it down. And then I get into a space where I can do forgiveness and say, I'm letting it go. I'm not carrying this with me anymore. I'm releasing it. I let it go. I let that go. It's done. And so find a way that you can do an exercise to clear that clutter by letting go. Because it's one thing to just clear and make way for it, but it's another thing to literally say, you got to go, and drop it off and leave it. And then it's gone. And I'll tell you, I have had people that I've wanted to speak with because I've cleared some clutter. And when I let it go, I've really let it go to the point where I don't know if this just has to do with memory loss or what, but literally I won't remember some of the things that others feel they've done. And I had one woman that was just ducking and dodging and ducking and dodging. And I would refer people to her, and I wanted to go back to her, but she would never take my calls. She wouldn't talk to me. And I was like, I wonder why she treats me so strange. That's so weird. And finally, one day I bumped into her, and she had no choice but to, we were in a space where she had no choice but to directly see me, because usually she ducked out in church and all this other stuff. And I was like, man, where'd she go? I was trying to talk to her. Well, we bumped right into each other, and immediately she started apologizing. I know I was supposed to do that. And I'm sitting there like, what are you talking about? I didn't even know what she was talking about, but it was something she was supposed to take care of with me, and she hadn't. So she was carrying that for so long. And I just started laughing, and I said, girl, I don't even know what you're talking about. I obviously have released whatever that is. I vaguely remember this happening, but how have you been? What's going on? Sort of like, whoa, this person's been carrying this with them all this time, ducking and dodging me so that they wouldn't have to speak with me, because they're carrying this guilt that they were supposed to do something. So it's important to release those things. If you're carrying it because of something you feel like you should have done, hey, go take care of it. Either take care of it or say, I'm not going to take care of it, and let me just write a letter and tell them this is not going to happen. I'm sorry. End it. But let it go. We've really got to let these things go, because without clearing that clutter in our minds, our bodies, and our spirits, it is making us sick, and we are not living as long as we can. So that was one segment of the show. The other segment was on how to eat. And Dr. Oliver told us about eating from the earth. Just eat the things that you grow.
Right.
And this weekend, I bought a basil plant and a rosemary plant and a mint plant. And I'm trying to keep them alive. The mint is struggling. I got to figure out about this mint. But if anybody has any tips on growing things, I got to figure out about this mint. But my basil and everything, I cooked with that this week, and it was delicious, just having the fresh plants. So I'm thinking of getting that garden that you talked about.
Yeah.
I thought
tower garden.
What's it called?
It's called a tower garden. In fact, I was talking to the lady that I got mine from, and she's like, well, how are you doing? I said, well, everything died because I was out of town. So I get to start all over. So I'm ready to start all over and get my garden growing again, especially after all those months in Jamaica. So now it's like, it's really, set in this whole farm to table idea. It's like, that's how I want it every day. Pull it from my garden. Yeah.
And that's such a good way to live. So consider the plant-based eating. I'm not a total plant-based eater. I still eat fish. Chicken, gosh, I really wish I didn't like chicken the way I like chicken, but I do eat chicken. But I know that it causes my body to be mucousy. And so it's something that I'm getting my mindset together to start giving up, because it's definitely something that affects your body in a different way. Start reading labels. It's just important. And I really wanted to talk about this health thing today, because as we talk about bringing abundance into our lives, if we don't have our health, the wealth is not going to matter. It's just not going to matter. You'll be spending all your money trying to figure out
your health.
So, and I think the other reason I mentioned it is a dear, dear friend of mine was dropping off food to me this week. So everybody was bringing me, I was buying for my fried turkey this weekend, and people would bring me plates. Of course, they didn't just bring me fried turkey. They brought me stuffing and mac and cheese and just so many different things that I really don't even eat anymore. So I thought it was really nice that they brought it, but my daughter came over and she was just like, who bought this? That's good. That's good. So she got some really, really great food, and I tasted a little here and there. But one friend who brought over a big plate, they were out delivering food, saying they were delivering to the needy. I said, well, I'm not the needy, but I'm the greedy. So if you drop one off for me, I'm okay. And they did, dropped it off. But in passing, he was getting back in his car, and I was like, so how's everything going? Is everything good? And he was like, oh yeah, everything's fine. Last week, a couple of weeks ago, I went to the doctor. I found out I got cancer, but other than that, I'm good. Da, 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 and just kept going, like it was nothing. And I was like, did I just hear him right? And I said, whoa, wait, what did you say? Oh yeah. They diagnosed me with cancer. I'm like, well, what kind of cancer? Kidney cancer. I'm like, really? Well, are you okay? What are you going to do? But still rushing. Hey, gotta do what I gotta do. I'm going to doctors a couple of weeks from now, And I just felt like, whoa, this is so heavy. And I understand the type of person he is that, hey, gotta do what you gotta do. And that's a good mindset. But now I'm really trying to find ways to encourage him to sit still, find that place of healing, do the things that you got to do to get to that point of healing. And this is happening to so many of us. We are getting attacked by these diseases and illnesses that we could stop. And we could stop them dead in the tracks. Many of us can stop them dead in the tracks just from the way we eat. Because if you had seen the pile of food, it was a pile of the food that was in there, 4 people, family of 4 could have eaten. But that was supposed to be for me. So I know I'm not going to eat all that food, especially all that mac and cheese. And these are the things that are clogging you up. He loves to cook. He's a chef. He loves to do that. So changing behaviors like that are going to be difficult. But getting that mindset together, I think that's going to be one of his number one defenses, because he already has this attitude of, hey, I'm still going to keep going. I'm going to do it. So it'll be easier for him to have a belief mindset that he's unstoppable. It's going to work.
Right.
But just hearing that diagnosis from somebody was sort of like, whoa, that, we're acting like this is an everyday thing that's supposed to happen.
Right.
As if saying, oh, I got stuck in traffic, but other than that, I'm good.
Right.
We can't get stuck in traffic in our minds. We can't get stuck. We got to be able to figure out ways to make pathways through for a healthy life. It's the only way to live abundantly. And I was going to say, you want to tap that into some money?
Well, it's interesting because I think I share with you that usually in the mornings as I was doing my workout, I often listened to Joel Osteen. And especially what was interesting is, he has thousands of messages, but I find it so interesting that it seems like each morning the messages are specifically curated for me, for what I'm thinking about or whatever. And so the message that I was listening to this morning was him teaching on why it's so important to get your daily bread, and that daily bread of connecting in meditation with God before you begin the day, before you interact with any person, just taking a pause to reflect, to ask for guidance for that day, to make sure that you're doing and directed to take the right actions. Sometimes you're running so much, or as I like to say, you can't be quiet for the noise. It's too loud. So when it's too loud for too long, then your ability to hear, becomes slightly impaired. And that was why the Jamaica getaway was so past, it was overdue, because normally every quarter, no more than 2 to 3 months, I'm taking a break somewhere because of the intensity within which I live life and I like to perform. That A personality, A players, we like to get it done. We like to, and we have a big capacity. So we're playing full on. And that can be exhausting if you don't understand how to take the time to recover from that. It's just like, athletes, when they finish a basketball game, they played everything. Then they go to that locker room and they start doing the treatments to repair their bodies from that level of intensity so that they can come back and do it again. And so it's the same thing with the level of play, is finding that space to clear your head and relax. So when he talked about daily bread, is that sometimes we have a tendency to believe that we know it. We already know what to expect each day, as well as whatever got us to this particular point is going to get us to our next point. So kind of thinking that we're in autopilot and we don't need to stop and check in. We don't need to stop and see, is there a different path or process to get to the next destination? Are there things that we need to leave behind at this point in order to get to the next destination? And so it's really, when we talk about that, you were talking definitely in terms of our emotions and our physical, our health. If we take that same philosophy into our business and our organizations, same thing. It's year end. If you're operating on a calendar year, a fiscal year end based on a calendar formula, you're not accruing your expenses, then you're looking at you're about to get to the end of your earnings for 2020. You'll be beginning to prepare your taxes the first quarter of 2021. Take an opportunity to look through your organization, look at your operational expenses. Are there process improvements that you could make to reduce your expenses? How have you been allocating the resources that you've had? Are there technologies that need to be updated in your organization? Are you operating on outdated systems and technology that you don't realize is slowing down your productivity because it's so outdated? It can't handle the new software. It can't operate at the new speeds. So whether you realize it or not, or is there somebody on your team that needs to have their skills updated? They're doing things. I couldn't believe it this year that I still met somebody who's typing a Word document like they're typing on a typewriter, where they have hard returns after every sentence. I'm going, where have you been? How could you still be, take a class, learn how to use the technology,
and investing in it. Dr. Money, a lot of people won't invest in, just like you won't invest in yourself and your body, they're not investing in their business.
Right.
And that would mean, I know I was trying to continue using my old QuickBooks. I was like, the regular QuickBooks should work for me. But there's so many updated features. I just had to get on the online QuickBooks so that I can use it and my bookkeeper can keep track of what I need, versus shutting my machine down in the middle of the night and saying, okay, you can get into that connecting your computer to my computer now and try to go through my screen to see what I put on this old outdated software. And I sort of was like, okay, I'm wasting more money paying the bookkeeper to try to figure out how to connect to my computer so that they can look at my files than I would if I just pay the monthly fee for QuickBooks.
Yeah. So it's just coming into that awareness. And this is a great opportunity because, if you take a chance to kind of look back, you could also notice things about cycles. Were there any cycles that were, impactful and usually impactful during this last year? How do you plan for 2021? Do you see new opportunities, kind of in a post-COVID environment? We are going to get there. So, what do you see the post-COVID environment? How do you see that? How do you see opportunities that will impact your business? And start to make some of those plans. That's really what it's about, looking at ways to make sure that your organization is healthy and strong and able to sustain itself through the next, 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. Where's your organization headed? And so, of course, to do all of those things, where we started was talking about your mental focus, then your physical focus, And then this is probably one of the areas that occupies a lot of people's times is their economy. So if you don't have a business and you are an employee, looking the same thing, looking at your skills, looking at the organization, considering what if this organization makes some shifts in a post-COVID environment, and how will those shifts impact me as an employee in this particular organization? So if we kind of look at that in total, then we have a better holistic view of our needs. And then also because, the first of the year, what do people do? Everyone seems to go, okay, let me get my health in order. Gym membership goes up. But by February, half the people that make those new commitments have already quit. You need a little bit more than that so that you can sustain yourself forward. You have to have a new why for how you're going to keep yourself going.
So that takes us right back to the first C. It takes us back to the whole KG idea, clearing the clutter. And when I say clear the clutter, it's like washing yourself clear. That was one of the analogies that they gave on Heal. They said you take a shower every day to get rid of the residue from the day, whatever is on your body, to get the dry, dead skin cells off. Why wouldn't you do that cleansing for your mind? Why wouldn't you do that cleansing for your spirit? Doing a meditation, doing a gratitude journal, it's just a cleansing. It's like taking your shower. You're cleaning your body. You want to clean your mind. You want to clean your soul. So think about that when you think of the C in clearing the clutter. Assess your situation. Take a look at what you're doing. What do I need to clear? How do I need to clear it? How do I need to eat? All of that is about assessing your situation. That's the A in KG. Gratitude, 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 gratitude. We're always going to talk about being grateful for what you have, being grateful for what you think you don't have. When you look at somebody else, you'll always be able to find somebody lesser than or greater than you. And so that in itself is a reason to be grateful, because you are right where you're supposed to be. And then the E, that execute, educate, get involved in making yourself better, because you're the only person who can do it. It's about you taking that assessment and then executing on the plan that you've put out there. And finally, the Y stands for you. You're a unique individual that has a different proposition than anybody else in the world. Even if you're doing the exact same thing that somebody else is doing, yours is going to be different. So pay attention to you. You are that unique proposition. And I'm just happy that you have decided to be with Dr. Money and I every morning, chatting it up about mindset and money. And Dr. Money, I think tomorrow we have somebody else who's going to be with us chatting it up. You might want to share who that is.
Absolutely. Tomorrow, our special guest is Monique Hong. And Monique is a real estate investor. She's going to tell us about her journey to becoming a real estate investor, as well as the founder and creator of Real Estate Goddesses, which is an organization she created with the mission of helping 1 million women become financially independent using real estate investing. So it's going to be an exciting conversation, and everyone be prepared. It'll be great, and looking forward to tomorrow.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. We will see you tomorrow, Tuesday at 8 a.m.
All right. Signing out.